Hello, Russell Conway here, and today we're going to take a look at my Arcana Knights deck profile. The first one I'm going to make, I have a few more coming up I'm planning to make, so get started. So first off, we'll move the extract and side to side. Haha, playing joke. Start with the main deck. Main deck, I am playing 3 copies of Glacial Aquamador. This card, what it allows you to do is if your monster on the field that would be destroyed by battle, you can reveal this card in your hand, discard a card, prevent it being destroyed by battle. As well as cards on the field, you can reveal and discard a normal monster and prevent itself from being destroyed. The trick is this deck does revolve around 2 normal monsters to make the combos fully work. Next up, we have 2 Queen's Knights. So I can just erase this. These who is our main reasons and one of the main cards behind they being called the Arcana Knights. They're about to sleeve this change virtually. I run 2 of each Knights for Jax because in my version Jax is only brick, and these 2 and Kings you want to keep cycling around with the cards. So they're here because they are still part of the deck. Speaking of King's Knight, I also run 2 Kings. What effect is, when this card is almost summoned, if you control Queen's Knight, you can immediately summon a Jax Knight from the deck. Reason again, he's level 4, so he's here for extra deck plays, healers, an extra deck, and of course for bringing out the Fusion Monster and Link Monster of the deck. Doing our 2 ofs. We run 2 copies of Grave Spy. Effect is full effect, special summon 1 Grave monster with 1500 or less attack from your deck. Size 1200, so all you do is, if this card does manage to survive, flips up, you can summon under 1 from the graveyard in order to continue extra plays. This is one of the great cards back in the day when Xyz Monster first came out. This card was kind of busted because it was basically a 1 card rank 4. What's that? Next up, we have 2 Code Breaker 0 Days. This card is mainly used for a few Link monsters in the deck to help you get to a card's not in here yet, but will be soon enough. The effect is all the monsters it's pointing to, unfortunately, there's 7 type points, except for monsters of its Codebreaker archetype. And Codebreaker monster is fortunate. On the field, it's destroyed by battle or card effect. Yeah, basically, the left cards on the field is destroyed. But that also triggers off its third part of its effect to where if you have 1 destroyed, you can summon another one to start Link plays again. So there's that. For 1 once we have 1 Jax Knight. This is really the only brick in the deck because it's the highest level monster beside the gods. So 1 Jax Knight. I remember I'm playing 1. I beat some people play 2. I say 1, 2, never 3, because 3 is a 0 brick in this case, because it's a level 5 monster, and it's not working out most time. So we have Backer Slime, who is a God Card Sport card, which allows you to bring someone out 2 tokens, and then immune trips when a level 10 monster. Where it's, Cypher, Obelisk, or Raw, which no one plays Raw, because it sucks. Also, during battle phase, you can immediately send this card to the graveyard to set and activate the same turn a Metal Flex Slime from your graveyard. The most time you can use this card to 1, either summon out 1 God cards, or 2, you can use itself and 2 tokens, or token cells, or any combination of itself and tokens, or summon cells to build for wing plays. Though, with that. So you have their new support cards, Joker's Knight. This card is one of the best cards for the deck because it allows you to send one of the Kings, Queens, or Jax Knights from deck to grave. It only gains its name, which isn't bad, which like most time you want to send. In my version, I simply send Queen's Knight. So then, if you have King's Knight in your hand but no Queen's Knight, you can switch this card in defense, send your Kings, and grant your Jax Knight. Because none of these support cards require them to be actual cards, just need their names. This card effect is this card is in the graveyard during the end phase. To your opponents, You can show back either any other light warrior monster, possibly in your kings, queens, jacks, knight, into the deck, or possibly even your fusion monster back into extra deck in order to respect to your hand. Which is good for link plays because you can use card to link summon during your turn, and in turn you get it back. Next up, we have Electromagnetic Turtle. Which my favorite is when this card is during your opponent's battle phase. If it's in your graveyard, you can really banish it to end the battle phase. Unfortunately, it's once per duel, which that was ending and once per duel thing. I think it really should only be a once per duel, because no point using multiple. Because use multiple, then it'll kind of just dead and just use for link this, something like that. Hand traps wise, the main deck there are monsters I haven't run so far, and that is Effect Veiler, which is your monster kind of worst version of an impermanence. Another one. I was also the end of 2 cards they should really switch out from this deck for stuff like this, but so when Effect Veiler, we all know what it does. Target monster bone controls during main phase and gets effects per turn. That's kind of it. Next, for our guard card variety, and again, I agree in this case to also run Cerebral. With me, right now I run all Tormentor and Sky Dragon. The 2 best ones, Raw is shite, though I have seen this new archetype coming out on the OCG that might actually make Raw actually kind of good. Also, here's a 4K body, so Dragon. Also, can be targeted by small target effects, which is good nowadays. And Dragon is basically a like Dark Law is a floodgate. To an incoming opponent would special summon a monster in the type position, they lose 2K attack, and they go down 0, they are immediately destroyed. Let's get here. Except for these spells, first off are 2 ofs. I run 2 face card fusions. In this case, you have 1 face card here for your main fusion boss of the deck, and 1 for the extra fusion monster you have in the deck. Also, either of these, since they are include the knights in their text, you can't send off with Joker's Wild to get their effects without having to use them at all. Again, I can only run 2 of these because 3 is a bit too bricky because they're better used in the deck or, you know, if that's in the field. That's another card I would end in, but I will cover those at the end. Next up, we have 2 Pots of Avarices. These are right here, just in case some of your gods get destroyed, you can shuffle them evenly back into the deck. Unfortunately, you can't really do that unless because it's a target 5 monsters in your graveyard, and unfortunately, it's kind of be targeted with spell effects. But you can do it with Slifer. So, also good in case some of your, in case Jor's Knight and, Jor's Wild or any card like that, can still get stuck in the graveyard. Most of Jor's Knight or any card that actually requires the Knights to show on the deck to red hand. It's good for that as well. There it is. So for else, we have a single Upstart Goblin because it's limited. It's a free hand neutral card. You draw a card, but your opponent gets doesn't life points. Doesn't really matter because it's not +1. It's hand neutral. And so we have a Rhoda for the army. It's limited because, you know, it's weird. Why is this one limited now the other searchers are? It's kind of weird. I like because more is one of the most favorite archetypes. Still, we run Rhoda. It's the best searcher in the deck. Blind failures right now. This we have is Soul Crossing. This came from the God Treasure decks. So it's not one beast to be exact. Alright, it says during your main phase, immediately after the effect resolves, you contribute summon 1 Divine Beast monster. When you do contribute a monster or monsters your opponent controls, even though you do not control them. But if you contribute some this way, you apply this effect. At the end of the turn, next turn of this controls, you can only activate 1 card or effect per turn. Activate effects of Divine Beast monsters. And you can only use 1 Soul Crossing per turn. This card is, if your opponent has a well-relished board of 3 monsters, you can basically kind of next to Nibiru, but it's only 3, and unfortunately this card can be negated. But since quick play spell, you can probably even use it during the battle phase, so to, you know, basically make your opponent bits. I recommend, if you're going to use this card, make sure to use it after your opponent's already used it in the game for turn. See, mention the card back and forth and changing seeds eventually. So we have our stall cards, and being Swords Revealing Light. I run one of these because there's one of these in here, one in the side deck, because there are times when you can handle me, sometimes you can't. It's good here in this case for a stall card because you need it. For our charges, we have a Thunderspeed Summon, which normal effect reads during the main phase or battle phase, it may have to effect resolves. Normal summon a level 10 monster. It's a level 10 monster, which can be either your Slifer, Obelisk, or even your Raw Sphere mode to one side of the field. Or if the effect continues, or if you control 3 knights, you can apply your effect, which is add a level 10 non-dark monster attack from your deck to your hand, which could be Slifer, Obelisk, Raw, or even their other boss, which I don't have, Arcana Triumph Joker, which I was also going to run good cards, but I don't have it currently, but I will actually. Then, you have this resolves, you can normal summon that said monster. One of this card, its name, what's card's effect per turn, which I don't say he's more than one because it's supposed to be a static god. Don't let me don't misplay this. As for our god base attack cards, we have we have Thunder Force Attack and Fist of Fate. What Thunder Force Attack allows you to do is destroy every monster on your opponent's side of the field. But if you activate during your main phase, you can draw a number of cards equal to the number of monsters that were destroyed by this effect. All these cards can be negated. Fist of Fate, in this case, let's kind of lay out. Fist of Fate allows you to target a monster if you control both cards either have the said god, in case Thunder Force, Slifer, Fate, Obelisk on the field, which names course. Effect, and when you do, you can say here can allow you to target a once monster, negate their effects. And if you can destroy it. This turn, the effects of that monster are negated as well as activate effects of the field monster on the field of monster with the same original name. Also, this card during your main phase, you can destroy all spell cards your opponent controls. Which is kind of weird how Fist of Fate here does spell cards and Thunder Force does monsters. Well, I think they both should do both, because dynamic don't hear, but in the anime, Fist of Fate does the same, blows up. Almost effect blows up all opponent's monsters, so okay. And next, of course, we are playing the extremely dreaded card by everyone, Mystic Mind. I'm sorry, I got a hold of it, and I want to play it. It does, if your opponent controls more monsters than you do, they can't activate monster effects or attack. If you control more monsters, you can't attack or activate monster effects. Sure it does, but still, that'll work. For our traps, we run 3 Infinite Impermanence, which is our basic trap version of a Veiler, which effect reads: you can activate a card directly from your hand and negate a monster's effect, but if you activate a set before activation, you can negate you can try and negate a monster's effect, and also negate every spell card within its column. It's a lot better than a Veiler, but sometimes it is not. So for 3 of us, we have 3 different Dimension Derbies. So what you do is if you basically do almost anything with a normal monster, except for Tribute Summon it. Tribute Summon with the Second Zone, with Cypher, Obelisk, or things like that. What it says is Ritual, Finish Fusion, Synchro, Exes, or Link Summon with normal monster. So the guy's on the card. You can then target a monster, you target a card in the field and banish it. Of course, I say target, so some things that won't target aren't very good, but still does allow you to get some things off the field if you do by chance need it, because banishing is one of the best forms of removal. This deck, because we mainly run on normal monsters. Now, for the rest of the one-offs, we run a single copy of Joker's Wild, which allows you to copy any effect of any card lists the 3 knights in its card text by sending it to the graveyard. And if it were to be in the graveyard at the end of the turn, you can show back in one of the knights to add it back to your hand. Let's go for a neck. To have Metalflex Slime, which I have to get Fusion Monster for it. It's better, but I don't. It's right here just to get like extra cards so you can flip it. Set. To give you a 3k booty to survive return. Your plus running access skill, which also they are. Have single Mirror Force. You know what this does, I mean by now. Once monster goes attack, destroy all 5 types of monsters your controls. It's fun. Also run the Dread Metaverse. I've been running this over Terraforming because one Terraforming is a spell, which is a lot. This is a lot slower. You're gonna survive. You can flip it during your opponent's draw phase, and if you have Metaverse to one way it can. So I'm missing mine for a deck where it basically can't do anything for the entire turn. As a main deck. Now for the side deck, different. I run 2 Artifact Lancias, which is a special artifact effect, but what you use it here for is you can retrieve this card from your hand or face up on the field to basically make both players unable to be unable to banish cards for the rest of the turn, which is really good for those Phantom Knight decks who love to banish. So no way. Next hand we have an inside deck. Also run a single copy of Ghost Mourner and Moonlit Chill, who is basically your 4th copy of your fifth copy of let's say your 4th, no, 5th effect negator. But only works when your opponent summons a monster or monsters face up. Except during damage step, you can discard this card, you send the graveyard, target it, and then it gets effects until the end of the turn. As soon as they leave the field, they take damage. Go hand traps it for a few. You can only read wins per turn. Sorry, you can do this because I'm stupid. Next to your hand traps, we have Ghost, Ogre, and Snarlbit, which says whenever your opponent, it's your player's turn actually, when a monster on the field its effects, or when a spell trap card that is already face up on the field, continuous in other words, would activate its effects in order to special summon a monster. Okay, let's one of its effects. You can send this card from your hand to graveyard and destroy that card on the field. Negate it, so that's kind of a sad thing, is it doesn't negate, but it does destroy it. It's a good card, you can just use this to get rid of it. In case you want to use a card that can cause infinite burn damage, you can just use this to destroy it before getting burn game. Next up we have Dino Wrestler Pangertops, who is a classic inside decks. He's basically Cyber Dragon, but better. As a opponent wants than you do, so you can have a 1, you can have 2, especially on Pangertops. And then we can do with the quick fight, you can send him to the graveyard to pop any card on the field. So it does not matter. So we have is Lightning Storm. It's the best cards because you have no physical cards, which I am still broken. You can either 1 destroy type of monster your opponent controls, which is most of them now is link monsters, or control spell cards your opponent controls. Which this card is really good for backward removal. It's barely ever used for monster removal. So we have another copy of Soldiering Light, just in case you stall for a little longer in games 2 and 3. Dark World no more. So we're going to activate monster effects during your turn. This time this really does help a lot of times. So this one's card effects. And it says so monster your opponent controls can in his turn, also the rest of his turn the result. So that it resolves opponent takes no damage, and your player can activate monster effects in response to special activation. This affects the monsters on the field, but can't do anything either, but it doesn't matter. Most time we do it, it's just have a good board. I have another good fashion card. We have Triple Tactics Talent, which is a card in case you get, hand trapped. This card you can then either do a Pot of Greed and draw 2. You can change your card to control 1 monster your opponent controls to the end phase, or confiscate a card by looking at your opponent's hand and choose 1 card from it and shove it into the deck. This sounds once per turn. I'm the one, so I don't know about the once per turn clause, so it's a good card in some matchups. I don't run Crossout. I have is Heartbeast Feather Duster, which is kind of balanced, it's 1. Good card. It's destroy all spell cards your opponent controls. This is good in case you do chip by chance and need it. In case Aeronautals Special has a lot of cards nowadays, so you do rely a bit on macro. So we have a single copy of Twin Twisters. Same one destroys 1. Which are good in case by chance you need to destroy your own back row, or 2 pesky bits of back row your opponent has, so you want to get rid of. Discard a card and then destroy both of them. Next second generous spell turn, we have last card being Raigeki. Class cards, was monster your opponent controls. It's basically a Mirror Force with a Choir Battle phase. Just go. Okay. Well, they're back. Now, for traps, we run a single copy of Court of Cards, which is in case the Sliver strategy actually does end up going a pretty good way. What causes you to do, if you control no monsters, or only control queens, kings, or jacks knight, you can special summon one of these set cards from your hand or graveyard. Also, you can banish one of the queens, kings, or jacks knight, hand and or graveyard, to draw the same number of cards you banished. It only uses one of its effects per turn, but that's not bad, because considering the feeling opponent will attack it to kill it, you can use this card to banish one of each in order to gain 3,000 attack points on Slifer. Plus, it's kind of a good almost +1. Almost. It's removing night, but first. So you have is Solemn Warning. What it says when a monster was summoned or as a spell trap card or monster effect is activated, and includes effect that spell summons a monster, pay 2k, negate the summon or activation, and you destroy it. This won't work on everything, I don't think it works on Dragoon. I mean, it's Strata Fusion, Red Fusion, but still, it's good in case your opponent wants to summon a pesky boss monster. You can mainly just go ahead and use this to destroy it. And finally, for side deck, we run a single copy of Torrential Tribute, which monster was summoned anyway. Just destroy it, just wipe the field like regular key, but it's slower. That's that. Now, for extra deck, we have some boss monsters, including Arcana Night Joker. It requires the 3 knights, queens, jacks, and queens summoned, and no other ways can be summoned, unfortunately. But its effect is extremely mediocre, as in its card is targeted by a monster effect, spell effect, or trap effect. You can discard the same type of card in order to negate it, but not destroy it. Yes, which this is happening, it doesn't destroy it. So our target negator, which is Guilty Gear Free, the Magical Steel Knight. It has 2 warrior monsters with different attributes. He has some deck. It is once per turn, when a card effect is activated that targets this card, you can quick effect, negate that effect, and if you do, destroy one card on the field. But since it's targeted, it doesn't work very well. Most cards will target nowadays, but it doesn't do. And this card was fusion summoned using only monsters on the field material. It attacked twice. Battle phase. So this card battles influence monster. You can do damage cowl. During damage cowl, let me repeat that, on a quick effect, you can banish one spell from your graveyard. Scoring a set equal to half its current defense until the end of this turn. Let me reiterate that. It's a quick effect during damage cowl. Not much stuff can change damage cowl. Except I have to start with a few different ways to start with. So we have a bit of an Xyz package, with first one being number 41 Baguska Chevrolet Tapier, which was type position, which requires 2 level 4 monsters, so it's completely generic. Once per turn, during your stamina phase, you can touch your reference card. You cannot destroy itself, but we'll talk about that later. Since one card is type position, it cannot be destroyed nor be targeted by your opponent's card effects. Well, but whilst in defense position, you change all physical monsters to field defense position that can go defense. Also negate the extra effects of monsters that were in defense position when that effect was activated. This is a good card to bring out an attack and just leave it there. Material, so you can then go into our next Xyz monster, being Drill Driver Vespinato, which effect for each, you can overlay this card on top of a rank 4 monster, being Baguska, in this case. And if attacks this monster, it does piercing damage. It's not bad. And if it be destroyed by an opponent's card in any way, battle, or card effect, you can target one level 5 or lower monster you control in your graveyard and special summon it. And you spend once per turn, which doesn't really matter in this case. So you have a bit of a train package, because turn starts with number 27, Dreadnought Dreadnoid. Requires 2+ level 4 monsters, which generic. So at the end of the battle phase, if this card destroyed opponent's monster by battle, we'll try it. For someone from your extra deck, 1 rank 10 or higher Machine Xyz monster. This physical card is Gerald, the Skirtosi's one. It uses effect once per turn, and unless this card will be destroyed, you can detach material in order to stop from being destroyed. Which its ring effect goes straight into our next one, which is number 81, Super Dreadnought Rail Cannon Super Dora. But itself is, once returned on a quick effect, you can detach one material from this card, then target one piece of monster on the field. That target is affected by other card effects, and it gets its own until the end of this turn. Detach one in order to give itself protection for card effects for a turn. And then, since it's rank 10, you can also summon a new Super Rail Cannon Juggernaut Libe, who is one of our main win conditions. It requires still 10 monsters, so it's kind of generic. So it's turn, you also use some Super Rail Cannon to summon this card. By using a rank 10 disease monster you control as material, transfer materials to this card, and once per turn you catch one material from this card to gain 2k attack and defense. So 6k attack and 6k defense. This turn, it's the only card that can attack. But during the battle phase, this card can make attacks on monsters up to the number of materials it has +1. So if it has one material, it can attack twice. One material can attack twice. 3. One material attacks once, 2, 3, and so on and so forth. So it has right here on the field. This guy can attack 3 times. At this point, this is basically game. If your opponent is not somehow stop from attacking, so there's camera. Next, for our Link monsters, we are playing a single copy of Arcana Extra Joker, the Link boss of the deck. Seeing it as Arcana Night Joker, except in this case it's card targets it or card it points to. You can negate it by getting some type of card. But also, this card was destroyed by battle, unfortunate battle. It's a graveyard. You summon one level 4 warrior monster, this guy's Queen's Knight, your deck, and if you do add a level 4 warrior monster, being King's Knight, from your deck to your hand, which can allow you to start the combo all over again if need be. Actually, this card, since it's level 4 not normal, you can buy your Codebreaker 0 day if need be. So Codebreakers, we have a big Codebreaker package with Codebreaker Virus Swordsman, which is a link to monster. It says when this card is spell summoned, it is co-linked to summon a Codebreaker 0 day from your hand, deck, or graveyard. They zone a link monster points to. Summon mostly down arrow. The reason this card is in your graveyard because it was destroyed while positioning opponent's card effect. In the center of this turn, you can special summon this card, but banish it when it leaves the field. So you put back your link zone. And it's co-linked. Unfortunately, we can see it right here. Have it up here, which is blocked by silver cockles up here, which you can't really see. Blocked by that there. Blocked by backdrop here. You can then immediately see here, by the way. Once here, we're seeing someone here or here, depending on where it points. So instead of Core 0 you can bring out, if it's co-linked, you can then bring out our Codebreaker Virus Berserker. With itself, it requires 2+ monsters, including Codebreaker monster. That's not hard. Special summoned, if it is co-linked, you special summon up to 2 Codebreaker monsters from your hand in your graveyard. So special summon back your Codebreaker 0 day and your Virus Swordsman, if need be. The other points to. And during your main phase, you can destroy spell trap cards, almost goes up to number of linked Codebreaker monsters on the field. Select a Codebreaker 0 turn. And by linked, it doesn't mean co-linked, it doesn't mean the arrows, it's like here, by pointer. This here is simply how the arrows pointing to our link monster is linked. Let's get that off. On the 2, so let's hope they don't get negated. The rest of the monsters, we are running X-Code Talker, which is good in a case of a little bit of a clutch to where you can actually use it. If it's only monster in your field, you can immediately, it's over here, up here, yo, where's that? Over here, you can basically null and do an Ajama thing as a knight and king. You can basically store the field, whatever zone you choose, or zones with multiple monsters. There, next monsters are here and here. For the 2, you can basically make those unusable for us cards on the field. Which is good in case your opponent has any monsters that gain effects when they're playing. Versus when their monster is linked with them. Next up we have is Lena the Light Charmer. So my cameras, I keep my cameras in this one. Here it is. It requires 2 monsters, including Light Monster. And what it does is it allows you to immediately special summon a Light Monster in your opponent's graveyard, and so only blink arrow points to. So if it's here, and monster's only point to here, which is dang, because then you can use this card and that said monster to link into any link 3 you have. A card will be destroyed by a card effect by your opponent. You can then add a monster with 1500 or less defense from your deck to your hand. Wasn't back as all cards in deck that you can use this with. Next up we have the card that is getting replaced when I get it is Deco Talker. This will replace my access code when I get a hold of it. That's placeholder. There is in quest 2 plus monsters in 3. And gains 5 attack for each monster it points to. So maximum 1500 to go to 300. 300, sorry. And on quick effect, if an effect, if it's a card or effect that targets a card you control, effect, you contribute one monster that this card points to the division, and if you do, destroy it. Destroy card. Now, if you fully want to run Deco Talker, I recommend you run Layer of Darkness, because then it allows you to tribute summon your own opponent's monsters, so they can use Link Arrow that points to our monster that's going to appear. Your opponent's monster will be a set effect. Of course, it cannot be tributed. We run the best ones. We run Nightmare Unicorn. Well, it's Link 3. Which the main effect you want to supposed to use is that when listing someone, you can immediately discard a card to spin a card back to the deck. You can send it back to the deck, basically. And it gets access co-linked to other monsters or say extra nightmare monsters, but then it has the ability to draw cards. Extra cards per co-linked and linked monster. Co-linked nightmare monsters. And finally, I have a Steam copy of IP Masquerade Ultimate Work. What allows you to basically link someone on your opponent's turn. Also, no control card, much card just remember. And well, that's the deck. Let's see a deck profile. Sorry it took so long, as in time-wise, but I'm still new at this. Hopefully, next one, which will be up either later this week, will be shorter. I guarantee it. If not, I'm sorry. Like I said, that's the deck list. Stay tuned for another video later on this week where I'll be showing you combos for this deck you can use. Sorry, combos. And I'll see you all next time. Peace.